Kier Starmer isn't doing as well at the dispatch box as he has been doing, certainly since Labour came to power. And week after week, he's just been casually batting away Kemi Badenoch's rather limp attempts at attacking his government. But of course, he's had the luxury of the honeymoon period. And so when all parties come to power, there's a certain amount of time where before everything returns to normal with everyone hating the government, there's a certain period goes by where this party, the party new into power, gets to do whatever it is that they want, and they just get a free pass blaming it on the previous government. And that is an effective strategy, certainly in year one. However, up to this point, that's been fine. But from this point here, particularly over the last couple of weeks, what I've noticed is that Kemi Badenoch has been coming out on the offensive and being a lot more bad-tempered, a lot more direct, and a lot more annoyed at the non-answers that Kier Starmer appears to want to give week after week. Last week, it was the trans thing that she went on, and really, he had nothing to say on that, and he just kind of took it. But this week, on about the grooming gang and the national inquiry that everyone's still going on about, she had a go at him about that. Each question was just bang, bang, bang. She was on him the whole time, and he was trying to win an intellectual argument. And I think she summed it up best, near the end of the clip where she says, yeah, but that's not your job anymore. You're the Prime Minister. And sometimes you get the feeling that he forgets that he's running the country, and he kind of still believes he's a bit of a lawyer.
Mr. Speaker, the Shadow Home Secretary held 352 external meetings during 20 months. How many were on this issue? Not one. And they failed, of course, to implement a single recommendation for the independent inquiry into child sex abuse. Mr. Speaker, my position is absolutely clear. Where there's evidence, the police should investigate and there should be appropriate prosecutions. That's route number one. Route number two, we should implement existing recommendations, which did expose what went wrong. They weren't; those recommendations were not implemented by the last government. They're being implemented by this government. We are providing for local inquiries. We're investing more on delivering truth and justice for victims than the party opposite did in 14 long years.
And at this stage, Kier Starmer goes to sit down, no doubt congratulating himself on another top answer provided there, where he got to skirt round the edges and do what's necessary in order to not lose any face. The problem with all of these arguments that he's presenting here, though, they all have a massive, gigantic issue overbearing it all. And it's this: nobody cares about the whys and wherefores. Nobody cares what's been done in the past. Nobody cares about the police or local government or any of your smart answers. What we want is, we want the people that have been involved in these grooming gangs to whatever level, and I'm talking about local level, foster caring, care homes, social workers, care workers, MPs, police, councilmen. We're talking about a huge group of people. What I want is those people removed from their jobs, charged if anything has gone on, and dragged through the streets after they've been tarred and feathered. Simple as that. Nothing else is going to do. And unfortunately for Mr. Starmer, he believes that he's making all of these clever arguments here, and he thinks he's being, quite cute in how he's positioning himself, little realising that essentially the whole of the country agrees with the inquiry. Doesn't really matter whether you're on the right or left. People from all over are just calling for it now. It's gone beyond a joke. Tens of thousands of children have been abused by people throughout the whole, hierarchy of society. And we want some answers, and we want people charged, and we want people dragged through the streets. Yes. And Kier Starmer does not seem to understand. And it doesn't matter how good he is at talking, how he presents himself at PMQs, because it's not truth. And he doesn't understand it.
Mr. Speaker, in the last year of Conservative government, we had a gangs task force that found 500 perpetrators, protecting thousands of victims. We launched that inquiry that he's talking about, but more still needs to be done. It's now 4 months since I asked him for a full national inquiry. Instead, he promised 5 local inquiries. There will be one in Oldham. Will he now name where the other 4 inquiries will be?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are providing for local inquiries. This is a serious... Well, they've got so much to say now. Why did they not... Mr. Speaker, why did they not implement a single recommendation in the 14 years they had in office? We're taking forward those. There are recommendations already in place about the change that needs to be taken. They sat on a shelf under the last government. We are acting on them. We are providing for local inquiries, and we're investing more in delivering truth than they ever did.
He cannot name a single place because nothing is happening. He stood there at the dispatch box, promised 5 local inquiries. Nothing is happening. On the last day of term, he had his minister come out to water down the promise to say they would provide funding. That is not good enough. At least 50 towns are affected by rape gangs. Places like Peterborough, Derby, Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester, Rotherham, Rochdale and Preston. Is he dragging his heels on this because he doesn't want Labour cover-ups exposed?
And right there, you get big bad Kemi finally coming out of her shell. That's what she's been like throughout the years that she's been, a normal MP, but she has struggled with the party leader role for a while. But she's starting now to grow into the role in terms of that Tory swagger. And that's the type of way that Kemi used to attack in the past. Like a pit bull. That was what that was. It was just gloves off, raw, uncensored. You're talking rubbish. What are you going to do about it? And that's been missing from all of these Prime Minister's questions since essentially Labour took power.
Mr. Speaker, I spent 5 years prosecuting this case. Mr. Speaker, I was the prosecutor that brought the first case. And when that file was brought to my attention, Mr. Speaker, I noticed that one of the defendants had not been prosecuted previously. Far from covering up, I asked for that file so that I could have a look at it. On the back of that, I then changed the entire approach to prosecutions, which was then lauded by the government. We were doing the right thing and brought those prosecutions. So my record was going after where I thought something had gone wrong and putting it right. She stayed silent throughout their years in government, and so did the entire front bench.
Mr. Speaker, he's not the Director of Public Prosecutions anymore.
Kier Starmer stood up all hurt. Oh, I'm hurt that you would question my ethics on this matter. Why I'd tell you this when I first saw this case and that case, etc., etc. What a load of tosh. Standing up like that, all affronted and annoyed that his, competence should be called into question. And as she said, but that's not your job anymore, mate. You're the leader of the country. He's starting to look really ridiculous when he does that.
He is the Prime Minister. People want to know what he is going to do now, not talk about what he did years ago. We are asking for a full national inquiry. Andy Burnham wants a national inquiry. He's not Conservative, he's Labour. Harriet Harman wants one. The member for Rotherham wants one. All of the victims I have met want a full national inquiry. He keeps talking about local inquiries, yet they have not got going. And they haven't got going because local authorities don't want to investigate themselves. Local inquiries cannot force witnesses to appear. Local inquiries can't force people to give evidence under oath. So why won't he have a national inquiry?
Mr. Speaker, we've had a national inquiry. We've had recommendations. There are hundreds of recommendations that have been made in relation to this issue. It is a serious issue. I strongly believe that we should implement the recommendations that have already been made. And that is what we are doing. I strongly believe we should listen to victims, and we've been listening to victims on this side for decades and working with victims for decades in relation to what they want, which is local inquiries, and we've set those local inquiries up.
Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, he says we should listen to victims. The victims want a national inquiry. We haven't had a national inquiry. We had the child sex abuse inquiry, which Conservatives launched. There is still more to be done. It didn't cover this scandal in detail. In Manchester, just last year, authorities were still covering up abuse. The local inquiry chair there has quit. Bradford Council, an area of some of the worst abuses, refuses any inquiry, local or national. Whether it's the streets of Birmingham or the Town Hall of Bradford, it is chaos and cover-ups with Labour councils. When will he show leadership and do the right thing?
The right thing is to implement the recommendations that we've got, which is what they palpably failed to do.
And as I said there, he starts to look weaker by the week with these non-answers. As reality just continues to be shoved into his face, then this is going to start getting worse. And up to this now, he's been enjoying quite a bit of success against Kemi Badenoch at the dispatch box, but over the last couple of weeks, he's started to look a little bit ragged. There was another section from PMQs where he had a chat with Nigel Farage, and it was the normal just brush off, and again it looked kind of bad tempered to me, just like how he's going on here, just like how Kemi was going on there. This is the season for bad temperedness, I think. But Kier Starmer, I think, when you watch the man try and make excuses about not having a national inquiry into the fact that tens of thousands of small children have been abused, the man just looks evil. There's no other way to position that. Either you are for truth and justice, and you have ethics and, a good basis of morality, and you know what you're about as a member of parliament for this country, and somebody asks you, hello, as member of parliament, tens of thousands of small children have been abused by grooming gangs in the country from all stratas from society. Would you mind if we had a national inquiry into it? Well, yeah, I would actually, for reasons 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's nonsense. Everybody knows there's a cover-up. These are Labour councils, and this is going to look very bad. Correct, it's going to look very bad. But Kier Starmer is whipping his MPs and preventing this inquiry from taking place for the good of the party. And that makes him an evil person, because he's weighing up the needs of the party before the needs and protection of small children, the most vulnerable in our society. And so I think the word evil can be put onto the man here, because he's doing nothing. He's doing nothing about it. And I think as well, when you're watching Kemi there, just that is the raw version of her, and I think she's just realised, he can bleed. He bleeds. If I hit him, he bleeds. And if I keep doing this, I'm going to hurt him. And I think she's just changed, and she's come into a bit more of herself there. And it's a good look. She may as well make her play for the leadership. There's already people talking about Kemi Badenoch and whether she'll be the leader in future. Never mind whether Kier Starmer will be the leader in future. But there is talk about Kemi Badenoch, and when, people are backed into a corner, then they do come out fighting. And I think she's just decided to go, you know what, I may as well make an honest play of what I think is right. Get the gloves off and let's go. And I think that that's the right way to play Starmer here, because he looked weak, edgy and vulnerable. Never mind the hilarious shots of, the front benchers. I mean, look at the pictures of these front benchers here. I mean, these are not happy campers. The government is really feeling the pinch at the moment on a number of areas, not just Rachel Reeves and the economy there, but Kier Starmer, grooming gangs, Raina's buried in her housing problem. They've all got problems. They've got the PIP problems, the Justice 2-tier problems. Never mind him dealing with this, national inquiry and trying to bury it all the time. They're under the cosh from a number of different places, and I think when you look at this front bench, I don't think they're enjoying government, and I'm glad they're not. Anyway, thanks very much for your time. Bye-bye.